All right. What's going on, guys? Corbin Doster here. We're getting started right away today. So let me get rid of this. There we go. I'm going to keep my press badge on because at the end of the stream, we're going to be going over Iran, Israel. We've got a lot to talk about there. Today's going to be a big stream. We've got a lot of stuff going on. We're opening with Hasan Piker. We need to go into some of the stuff he's been talking about the past couple weeks. Really the past like 2 or 3 weeks at most. I have some conflicting... I want to talk about Nux a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit of smack about Nux today. We're big Nux fans. This is a Nux and Or household, but we've got to go over some stuff. He's not been telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. So we're going to go over that. Yeah, we've just got some stuff to go over. We got to go over some stuff. Oh God. Hold on, let me fix this. There we go. So, I think it's high time that somebody went over everything and we were going to be unbiased. That's why the title of this is so important. Everybody lies. Everybody. Right? I'm going to do my best to tell you the truth about what's going on to the best of my ability. I don't want to be dealing with lies. Okay? And I think that in a lot of cases, there's people who tell lies intentionally and people who don't realize that they're telling lies. And I think Nux is one of those folks who doesn't realize he's telling a lie. That's what I think. So, I don't know. But we're just going to have to find out. We're just going to have to see. We'll look into it. We've got a few things. So just like last time, I have a Google Doc. As you can see, we've got some stuff to go over. All right, so we are going to get into it today. We are going to get into it. I'm going to leave it on my side today, and we're just going to go kind of bit by bit. I'll be putting stuff up. We've got some videos to see. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, really. Today, first things first, Hasan Piker had a conversation with the mayoral hopeful candidate Zoran Mamdani on June 19th. He hosted a live stream with him, and he is a Democratic Socialist. And for 30 minutes, they talked about rent control, urging a Gaza ceasefire. Mamdani called the NYPD funding bloated and supports divesting city pensions from Israeli apartheid. So we're going to watch that. All right, so we're going to start at kind of the beginning of this, and we're going to go from there.
Obviously about Mamdani.
We're going to begin with
Mamdani.
All right, so this is him talking about. I thought there was him talking with, but I guess it's just about. So we're gonna watch this. I don't pre-watch, okay? I use ChatGPT to kind of figure out what's going on, and then I watch with you guys live. So you're getting my full unfiltered opinions, and then if we need to research what they're talking about and figure out what's going on, then we do that. There's nothing hidden going on here. We're pretty straightforward about everything. So, if you're just starting out here today, we're just getting into it. But before we get fully into this clip here and we watch this, we're not going to probably watch the whole thing. We'll see. We'll find out exactly what we go over as we watch it. But as we go through it, I want you to keep in mind, this is a fresh channel. If you're watching here right now, I want you to go over to the YouTube if you're watching on X, or if you're watching on Kick, and make sure you subscribe. That way you don't miss the next one. If you want some real, unfiltered, no bullshit, no lying, not intentionally at least, live streams, and this is your place to find it, okay? I am done with the political nonsense where you have Destiny saying firefighters should be shot. Okay, you have Hasan calling actual terrorist organizations heroes and just like Luffy, and you have people like Nux, who I really like, actually, on most things, saying that Israel was an area in the Middle East where there was peace all the way up from the founding of Israel until 1979 when Iran had the revolution. So these are all the things we're going to be going over today, and I'm not messing around. I'm ready to call everybody out. I don't care who you are, what you did. If you watch the last stream, you found out I'm a Trump supporter. I voted for him, and I am anti-war. We had to flip a coin to get there, but I am anti-intervention, anti-war, and toward the end of the stream, we're going to be getting into that stuff too. So like, subscribe, and watch on YouTube. Follow me on X and Kick. It's Corbin Doster, Dauster on everything, and I'm looking forward to hanging out with you guys. Make sure if you're watching to comment and chat and get engaged. That way I'll be happy to interact with you. I've got nothing better going on. All right, so we're going to get right into this. I'm going to go ahead and slow the music down, and we're going to see exactly what's going on here.
Closing in Cuomo's lead in New York City mayor's race, says new mayor's poll. However, the poll also shows, like, I think the poll also shows there is a big gap still. It's a little concerning. It makes me a little worried, but it's good to maintain revolutionary optimism in this circumstance. Let's take a look.
With the race for
Everything is fucking revolutionary with this guy. Everything.
New York City mayor, and Zoran Mamdani is closing the gap with former Governor Andrew Cuomo for the top spot 6 days before the primary.
I'm not a New Yorker, but it seems to me like basically anybody is better than Cuomo. You know, basically anybody. I would almost vote, if I lived in New York, I would probably be like, Lindsey Graham, he's a piece of shit and he wants to kill our kids, but I would vote for him over Cuomo. It's kind of like a Kamala Harris versus anyone ticket.
Mamdani is now within 11 points of Cuomo in a new mayor's poll, but with
That's the first round. That's the first round without ranked choice.
Voting and no one with the majority of votes, the race becomes a lot more complicated. Eyewitness News reporter NJ Burkett is live in Lower Manhattan with our lead story tonight. NJ.
Hey, new viewer. Appreciate you coming in. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Interact in chat. We're happy you're here.
Citywide. And as you know, Andrew Cuomo has been the front runner from the moment he entered the race. But as you said,
unfortunately, I mean, that says a lot about New York, really. Like, how are you the front runner when you're such a pile of sack of shit? Like, I don't have the words to insult this guy with. They don't exist.
His numbers are flat.
He's the worst.
Has cut his lead in half.
The poll predicts that Andrew Cuomo will win, but he'll have to hold off a surging Zoran Mamdani.
We continue to be within 10 points. We continue to be on the verge of a single-digit race.
The 33-year-old socialist assemblyman from Queens is closing the gap. In a poll of likely Democratic primary voters,
yeah, well, everybody in New York is a Democrat. But this isn't one. I want to scoot forward and see what we've got going on here. Let's see.
The show asked him about globalize the Intifada as a slogan, and also from the river to the sea, Palestine will be
perfect. Here we go.
Zoran went on the Bulwark show, which is run by rhinos. It wasn't supposed to be like a heated debate or anything like that, but Zoran went on Bulwark with Tim Miller and Cameron Kasky. Friend of the show, Cameron Kasky, invited him. Okay, Tim Miller on the show asked him about globalize the Intifada as a slogan, and also from the river to the sea, Palestine.
Globalize the Intifada is not just a slogan. You're calling for the death of Jews across the fucking world, okay? And from the river to the sea is the same thing. Do not be fooled, okay? Now look, I've got plenty to say that's anti-Israel later in this stream, but these people are full-blown. He said it himself. It was like the first line he said in this clip. He is a revolutionary. These are revolutionaries. Revolutionaries, in order to get what they want, they kill. Otherwise, it's not a revolution, all right?
Palestine will be free as a slogan. He said these are scary anti-Semitic slogans. And his response to that was the exact same response that I've given to these statements, right?
Red flag right there. If you're in New York, that is a huge red flag.
He says something along the lines of, Intifada is an Arabic word, and that's what's scary about it. Globalize the Intifada means globalize the revolution.
Yeah, which results in death. Let's just fact check this right now. Intifada. And oh, I spelled it wrong like a jackass. Here we go. Intifada. A rebellion or an uprising. is an Arabic word for a rebellion or an uprising or a resistance movement. It can also be used to refer to a civilian uprising against oppression. In the 20th century, the word intifada has been used to describe various uprisings. Okay, we don't need all that extra shit, but...
Globalize the struggle, globalize the rebellion, right? And it's the Arabic, or globalize the uprising. It's the Arabic word for uprising. That's just what it is. And that is the reason why the Holocaust Museum in the past, when describing the Warsaw Ghetto uprising, when they translated to Arabic on their pages, called it the Warsaw Ghetto Intifada. Now, of course, the Holocaust Museum, which is so, what I'm about to describe to you is so disgusting in general, but the Holocaust Museum doesn't just educate people on the Holocaust. The Holocaust Museum's primary function now, beyond educating people on the Holocaust and the depravity of mankind and the banality of evil and how we got here, outside of
something that he is very pro happening. He has said in the past many different things related to the Holocaust being good, but just kind of covertly. This guy is a real monster.
He also serves a secondary, perhaps more important role right now, which is to defend Israel. So the Holocaust Museum, somewhere along the way, I believe in like 2024, in the month of March 2024, after pressure from Zionist groups, changed the interpretation. The Arabic interpretation on their website used to say Warsaw Ghetto Intifada. They changed it to a different name. Ironically enough, the name that they changed it to is now even more radical. It's the name Hamas uses as well. But most people don't know that, okay?
Okay, why is that good? I don't understand why that's good. Look, we're gonna skip forward. I don't care about his bullshit. I want to hear more about Mamdani. Here we go.
Barbarian looking to dismantle civilization. And part of this is the very sad burden of what it means to be the first Muslim candidate to run for mayor, is to deal with dehumanizing language, to deal with a former governor who doesn't even view Muslims as being a part of this city sufficient that he would visit a mosque in the more than 10 years. And it pains me to be called an anti-Semite. It pains me to be painted as if I am somehow in opposition to the very Jewish New Yorkers that I know and love and that are such a key part of this city. And
these people will say this out of one side of their mouth and then out of the other side of their mouth say from the river to the sea. Well, I mean, look, you don't have to be a fucking expert to figure out exactly what that means. Let's take a look. Let's just take a look. What are they talking about? The river, the sea, okay? They have no interest in any Jews existing in this area. And, you know, maybe they were shoved there after World War II, but that doesn't mean you can exterminate them now, okay?
yet I know that when I share that emotion, I continue to face a language as if I am a beast. And it takes a toll to wake up in the morning and read messages that say things like,
is he gonna say something?
I get messages that say the only good Muslim is a dead Muslim.
Okay, he's crying about that. Come on, this guy. You want this guy leading you over that?
That I'm biased against Israel because I have anti-Semitic tendencies born out of being Muslim. Because this.
Okay, there you go. I'm gonna clip him out of context, and that's all I need.
Conflict is always
Just kidding.
in the most idiotic terms in the United States of America, especially amongst morons, as a religious conflict that has gone on for thousands of years.
McKibb's in the chat. The blatant Jewish hate spewed by the media officials and content creators is absolutely insane. I mean, I agree. Look, the Jews are not like super innocent since 48, right? They've done plenty of things to be upset about. But what they do is they'll say Zionist, and they'll use it as a covert tactic to cover up the fact that they're just saying blatantly anti-Semitic shit. So like on the one hand, you don't want to be on the same side as like AIPAC and stuff like that because it's a lobbyist group that's doing horrible things to our country, and we shouldn't be giving a dime of anything to any country, no matter what, regardless of whether they're the mosques or the temples, right? Like no matter what, we shouldn't be giving them money. But this guy has a he's got this bug in him that just like everything is the Jews. He hates the Jews. Like 90% of Nux's coverage on this guy is pretty accurate. We're gonna get into where he's inaccurate a little bit later,
It
but
has nothing to do with fucking religion at all. Even non-Muslims who are just fucking brown have experienced a version of this. It's just another form of bigotry, okay? And just like anti-black racism, people get...
just to roll this back a little bit, this guy just said that no matter who you are, as long as you've got some color melanin in your skin, you've been accused of anti-Semitism. Which is just bullshit. That, like, could you imagine anything more retarded to think and say? Like, obviously that's not true.
more mad when you even call it out. So I think at this point, you know, 20 plus years after 9/11, most Muslims in the West don't fucking say anything about it because it's like, what are you going to do? That's just how it fucking is. It is what it is. That's just what it is. You just have to navigate this fucking space and eat it. Because if you spend a good deal of time trying to fucking talk about this and trying to get people to reconsider their stands, it's just, you create a wall. They just don't want to hear you out, and they would rather be left alone in the comfort of their bigotry, and they won't
in the comfort of their no, it's like I don't even know what to say. This guy is a piece of shit. This has got nothing to do with people of color. This has got nothing to do with bigotry. It's got nothing to do with anything but the fact that you are openly and regularly espousing full-blown hatred towards not just the Jews, but everybody who's white, okay? And the Jews tend to be white out of the Middle East, okay? That's the issue to you.
on other issues. That's how it is. It saddens me to see this. It angers me to see this, but it's just how it is. Like, consistently assuming that a fucking Muslim person who has done a good deal of activism against anti-Semitism, consistently claiming that a Muslim person who is a fighter against anti-Semitism, as well as all other bigotries.
And
All right, I can't.
it takes a toll.
This guy's still
is a
crying
city
about this.
Every single person deserves to be in. It's a city that we all belong to. And the thing that's made me proudest in this campaign is that the strength of our movement is built on our ability to have built something across Jewish and Muslim New Yorkers, across New Yorkers of all faiths and all backgrounds and all boroughs. And anti-Semitism is such a real issue in this city. And it has been hard to see it weaponized by candidates who do not seem to have any sincere...
Yeah, I wonder why anti-Semitism has been such an issue in New York. Okay, I wonder, you know, it doesn't make any sense to me why that's happening. You know, like, what could be causing it? I have no idea. Okay, this is... okay, so why are people waving this flag around? That's so weird. Why are they waving this flag around? I don't really get it. Oh, first they came from Mahmoud Khalil. Hands off first. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I remember a couple years ago they were taking over New York and yelling from the river to the sea. What's going on with that? Remember, with these people, they don't actually care about what Zionism is. They don't know what Zionism is. This isn't about any of that. They're using it as coded language for Jew, okay? Now, there's a lot of cases where that's not the case, like with real intellectuals in the space, but this is not what's happening in reality, okay? Look, I thought that other video was going to be a interview with Hasan. That's the problem with not pre-watching shit, so we're just gonna have to move on to the next thing. So just give me 1 second here. Oh, it's difficult. It's difficult with all this stuff. I can't watch more than a 3-minute clip of Hasan without just being like, this is crazy shit. Alright. Let's see. What do we got here?
Across Jewish and Muslim New Yorkers, across countless New Yorkers of all faiths and all backgrounds and all boroughs. And
This is where we left off. Okay, so let's take a look at this June 18th, 2025 stream.
I can't believe Iran will violate a deal that we tore to shreds, that it's still abided by, for the record. Here's one of the hidden parts of this that's even dumber. Iran continued abiding by
Take a look at this.
denuclearization agreement even after Trump ripped it apart. It was only after they still were collaborating with international authorities. They still had investigators come and look at the sites, and only after the Trump administration added additional sanctions on Iran, in spite of them following the fucking.
Okay, everything you just said is a complete lie. So we looked at this the other day. Okay. We looked at this the other day. Okay. This was recently updated. Let's go over this really quickly, okay? The International Atomic Energy Agency, which is the organization run by the UN, who hates Israel, who is in charge of monitoring Iran and their nuclear capabilities. Closely monitor and assess the situation regarding Israeli attacks on nuclear sites in the Islamic Republic of Iran, providing frequent public updates about the developments and their possible consequences for human health and the environment. Director General Rafael Mariano Grossi, who is exactly who we heard not 4 days ago, explaining that they were overproducing uranium for civilian needs. Okay, we just went over this. They were making too much than what they needed. Now, at the end of that stream, my verdict on this was that I didn't believe that meant that they were trying to get nukes. But they are clearly not following the previous Iran deal. Since the military attacks began almost a week ago, the IAEA has been reporting on damage at several of these facilities, including nuclear-related impact. In his statement, the Board of Governors on June 13th, the morning of the attacks in the Iranian facilities, the general recalled the numerous General Conference resolutions on the topic of military attacks against nuclear facilities. In particular, these resolutions, which provide inter alia that any armed attack on the threat against nuclear facilities devoted to peaceful purposes constitutes a violation of the principles of the United Nations Charter, international law, and the statute of the agency. So what they're talking about here is they're calling Israel out, and they're saying you shouldn't be attacking these, which again goes back to what I was saying before. You'll have to pull up my old stream because it looks like they changed this article. The IAEA has outlined and said specifically that Iran was producing too much uranium to be used for civilian purposes, okay? He also stated that the IAEA has consistently underlined that armed attacks on nuclear facilities could result in radioactive releases, which have grave consequences within and beyond. Yes, very good information, but not what we're looking for. Okay, here we go. Viewing and monitoring report. Summarizes and assesses information of the IAEA's quarterly report, May 31st, 2025, verification monitoring in Islamic Republic of Iran. Although the report and the parallel NPT report serve to highlight Iran's multiple violations of the JCPOA, I don't know what that is, and its increased capabilities to make weapons-grade uranium. They are not following the previous deal. This is a lie.
Agreement. Did they go, all right, well, fuck you then? Which is yet another L, I think, for the Ayatollah. Because that's probably when they should have been like, all right, this fatwa shit is, this fatwa stuff is crazy. I don't know. Oops, what am I hearing? Okay, I heard that actually we should make a nuke. God is now telling me to make a nuke. Nuclear proliferation and enrichment of uranium is the way, it seems.
Netanyahu.
Jesus Christ.
His government immediately retaliated, waging a war in Gaza that Palestinian officials say has killed.
I was reading about the Pakistani scientist that went to Pakistan from, I think it was in England originally, and basically fucking built a nuclear lab in the middle of a goddamn field, and was able to create nuclear proliferation for Pakistan, or no, Netherlands. Sorry, not from England, from the Netherlands.
What the fuck is this guy talking about? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, in a cave with a bunch of scraps, like Iron Man style, low key. Iran needs to draft a player like him.
Oh my lord,
dude. I don't think Iran's lack of nuclear proliferation is a matter of intelligence gap. I'm serious. Like,
all right, what is it, Hasan? Why don't you tell us?
But Iran is a fucking very educated country.
Okay.
A very educated country where there are plenty of, you know, Iranian engineers. That,
so what's stopping them, Hasan? Is it the Jews?
Work within Iran. I think they just don't want to do it.
They don't want to do it.
It's a foolish decision, but
but they should. So here he's saying it's foolish that they don't want to do it. He also literally just said 2 seconds ago, if you're just joining, thank you for joining. Make sure you subscribe. But if you were listening 2 seconds ago, what he just said and what I just pulled up, proving him wrong, is that they were still following the previous Iran nuclear deal. That's what he just said.
Who's a bit good.
And now he's saying that they should have been making nukes. That's what he was just saying.
It goes abroad to live. IR made a shithole of a country, bro. What? No. You think that there aren't fucking enough engineers? Come on.
More than 55,000 people. While the military threat from Hamas has all but been removed, Israel has weakened other
There's also, I think, part of the reason why they're like this conversation about nuclear proliferation is stupid. Like, they know how to enrich uranium. They have nuclear facilities.
Yes.
And these guys are using that as a pretext to just do regime change in Iran. Just fucking make a nuke.
Oh, my lord.
Man. Jesus Christ.
Make a nuke. So, all right. I think that's good enough. He thinks that they should just make a nuke. That's the best move forward. Is that if they just had a nuke, then, you know, you wouldn't have any of this shit going on.
Pro-Iran having nuclear weapons. I'm pro-Iran having sovereignty. And in this day and age, nuclear proliferation for countries that are not protected under the nuclear umbrella of the Western world, and even those countries don't have any sovereignty. They're servile. They're basically vassal states, Turkey included. But yes, if you are outside of the periphery, if you are outside of the protective banner of Western Empire, you absolutely need nukes.
All right. So it's difficult. I have to let this run because Hasan fans will be like, oh, you're cutting it out of context. So, and then never proceed to never provide the context because they know full well that they're playing cover for him just openly being anti-Semitic, and in this case, calling for Iran to have nuclear weapons. So, look, one thing everybody agrees on, whether or not they want the U.S. to participate in strikes or whether or not they don't, is that they don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. Well, the reason why is because they're fundamentalist, radical state. If they have weapons, nuclear weapons, are going to strike other countries and create a nuclear winter across the world. It will only take one nuke going off and everything goes to fucking shit. Okay? Everything. There's some tactical nukes you can use, little bits here and there, but blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, if they launch a nuke into Israel, or any other country for that matter, it would be the end of the world as we know it. Okay? And I went over this before, but this is not going to be like Fallout. All right? It's going to be way worse. There's no ghouls. There's no dog meat. There's no laser weapons. There's just death and trading in bottle caps. That's the only part that's real. So we do not want this at all, even a little bit. We do not want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. All right, so let's take a look here. So let's move forward. Oops.
That's fucked up. You knew what you were doing.
All right, so here. Hasan was playing a trivia game called Zionist or Nazi.
Hitler quotes in there for good measure too, to see if it's Benjamin Netanyahu who said it or Adolf Hitler. Nation of the Jewish people, October 4th, 1943. All the group will be able to do about it is, oh yeah, by the way, if someone were to do the Hamas versus Israel quotes, you would have to, who's a terrorist in this party? And you put the Hamas quotes and you put the Israel quotes. You have to obviously not say the group that you're talking about.
Okay, so he's encouraging people to make is it a terrorist?
All the group will be able to do about it will be to scurry around like drugged roaches in a bottle. Nazi.
All right, what is this saying here? In the committee of the Israel Parliament in 1983, General Raphael Eitan boasted of his triumphs in the West Bank when we have settled the land, and all the Arabs will be able to do about it is scurry around like drugged roaches in a bottle. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty fucked up statement. The issue I have with this is that he's comparing the Zionists to the Nazis. This is an insane comparison to make. Regardless of how fucked up the previous leadership and the current leadership of Israel is, which they are bad and we disagree with them, it doesn't mean that you get like carte blanche to go out and say these horrible things. You're conflating an entire group of people with the Nazis, and then you're using that as justification to be able to say that you should, from the river to the sea, all of the Jews. That's what he does. That's what his people do. He's constantly waving these flags and apologizing for terrorist actions. He 10 toes down supports the Houthis. This is the kind of shit that this guy's up to on a daily basis. At least in this instance, he gave him the benefit of the doubt.
In a committee of the Israeli parliament, and is the Minister of Education.
These are animals. They have no right to exist. I am not debating the way it will happen, but they will need to be exterminated, said a Zionist. Again, I'm not pro-Zionist. These people are disgusting. They do and say and participate in scumbaggery actions. I don't like how extremist the Jewish government is. There's a lot of things I don't like about it. But you can't be playing games like this, because games like this result in death and destruction. All right? That's the issue. This is what the problem is here. Okay? Now, let's take a look. All right. Left-wing influencer blamed for Israeli embassy shooting after Jewish org accuses him of spreading genocidal rhetoric. Well, this is what I've been talking about. He has been spreading genocidal rhetoric. It's not even an accusation, it's a fact. And right after this, we're going to get into Nux Taku doing the same kind of thing and the negative things he's been doing as well. I do like him, but he's also just, he's saying retarded shit, and so we've got to call it out because everybody's lying all the time. All right, so leader of Jewish organization blamed pro-Palestinian Twitch streamer Hasan, but no, he's not pro-Palestinian. He's pro-Hamas. That's very different. Twitch streamer Hasan Piker for the fatal shooting of 2 Israeli embassy employees in Washington on Wednesday night. When he talked about this, he laughed about it and made excuses for it. Okay, Jonathan Greenblatt, CEO and National Director of the Anti-Defamation League, framed his argument that extremists should not be empowered presented during a CNN interview Thursday around Hasan Piker's political commentary that is critical of Israel's action in Gaza and the West Bank. All of us need to call it out. I'm thinking about the New York Times doing I don't know how to say this word, a profile a few weeks ago of this quote-unquote gamer Hasan Piker, who never plays games, who regularly employs awful genocidal rhetoric against Jews and Jewish people and the Jewish state, Greenblatt stated in his clip circulating on X. Let's see if we can find it. Does it pop up for us? Yes, it does.
Call it out. I'm thinking about the New York Times doing a gauzy profile a few weeks ago of this gamer Hasan Piker, who regularly employs awful genocidal rhetoric against Jewish people in the Jewish state. Like, extremists should not be empowered. People who spout prejudice should not be platformed. This is a moment when we need to look ourselves in the mirror and say, we've got to stop this because the consequences are deadly.
Okay, so agree and disagree here. I don't want to see extremists platformed, but you really don't have a choice. You have to let them speak, and you have to let them get their extremist rhetoric out there. But the thing is that the people who are viewing this are the ones who should be deplatforming them. It's the viewers who should be. It's the viewers who should be deplatforming these people, not the platforms themselves. In most cases, right? It depends on the content. If the content's too over the top, you can't sell ads, and then what are you going to do, right? So I get it, free speech, yada, 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 but you got to make money. Money makes the world go around. So here we're going to look at this segment on Nux, and this is, I was teasing this a little bit leading up. This is a big issue I have here with Nux, and we're going to go over it, okay?
Was actually designed by Iran, because they actually support all of those terrorist organizations.
But the people of Israel.
I disagree. It's about the USA. I just think it was something to compare Israel to, because it shows Israel as a country as a small state. Yeah, no, absolutely. But he gave a speech in Hebrew, and he didn't use that analogy. Now he's giving, after the speech, in buffet of good shit for you guys.
We're looking for something specific here.
Against Iran's proxy Hezbollah led to the establishment of a new government in Lebanon and the collapse of Assad's murderous regime in Syria. The peoples of those two countries now have a chance for a different future, a better future. So too do the brave people of Iran. And I have a message for them.
All right. Come on.
Israel is the little Satan and America is the big Satan, and we're going to take them all out in a holy war. That's essentially what the leader of, and that guy is still the dictator of Iran right now.
I believe that the day of your liberation is near. And when that happens, the great friendship between our two ancient...
I'm not so sure that Iran wants to be liberated. The quote's coming up here. I'll tell you about it before it happens now. He's made this claim, and he's made it a few times, that in the Middle East, from 1948, when Israel was created, up until 1979, which is when the revolution in Iran happened, there was peace across all the Middle East. There was no issues as far as Israel is concerned. There was no issues. There weren't any wars back and forth. You didn't have any problems at all, and that couldn't be further from the truth. But I want to hear it come right from the horse's mouth. If you're just tuning in, I'd like you to go over to the YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@CorbinDoster, and make sure you subscribe. We'd really appreciate your support, and thanks for tuning in.
Will flourish once again. I want to assure the civilized world, we will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons.
And I think that's perfectly justified.
And Iran plans to give those weapons, nuclear weapons, to its terrorist proxies.
Absolutely.
That would make the nightmare of nuclear...
Could you imagine if, like, the fucking Houthis, the rinky-dink fucking retard pirates in Yemen, the fucking Houthis that just indiscriminately bomb anyone, can you imagine if they were given nukes by Iran? Like, holy moly.
Nuclear terrorism, all too real. The increasing range of Iran's ballistic missiles would bring that nuclear nightmare to the cities of Europe and eventually to America. Remember, Iran calls Israel the small Satan.
Yeah.
It calls America the great Satan.
That was literally his speech when he took over the country. When he took over Iran, that was his speech. That Israel is little Satan, America is big Satan. We need a holy war and take them all out.
And this is why for decades, it's led millions in the chance of death to Israel and death to America.
I don't like any of this. He's trying to get us dragged into a war that we've got nothing to do with, and that it really drives me nuts. I'm trying to. This clip should have come up by now, but I might have time-stamped it wrong.
Nuclear weapons program.
Dude, I'm gonna show you the craziest Trump move I think I've ever seen him do. We all know Trump does his negotiation 4D chess bullshit. Dog, you are not ready for the Trump maneuver I'm about to show you.
He has made clear time and again
little glazing,
that Iran
I approve, a little bit of glazing, it goes a long way, a little glazing.
cannot have a nuclear enrichment program.
Yep, that is
Today,
Trump. That's what Trump
it
said.
is clear that Iran is just buying for time.
All right. I've had enough of this. I'm just going to tell you, and we're going to break it down. And you can go find it yourself. If you watch Nux, you already know what I'm talking about. But I don't need to show you the clip. We all know he said it, or you should know he said it. It was in that video. I just can't find the right spot. All right, so it should be at about the 18-minute mark. I have the quote here, but the claim is that because here, I'll put it up on screen. Ever since, I think it's 1979, Khomeini came into power, he took over Iran, and he basically said Israel's a little Satan, America's a big Satan. Okay, that's the clip he's talking about, but that's not the claim. The claim is that he said that when Israel became a country from 1948, it was peaceful in the Middle East as far as wars going on with Israel are concerned up until 1979. Not true. Don't know where he's coming up with that. Here's a list of all the conflicts, and we're going to watch some videos on them. We have 1948, the Declaration of Statehood. It triggered an invasion by 5 Arab countries, okay, that ended the following year. All right? 1956, Israel, Britain, and France attacked Egypt after Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal. Okay, 1967, Israel's preemptive strikes against Egypt, Syria, and Jordan reshaped the borders. And then 1973, Egypt and Syria's surprise assault on Yom Kippur led to intense fighting, and the UN brokered a ceasefire. Okay, so there was these several conflicts that happened in a short time frame. I really think that he needs to stop making this claim because I've heard it several times now, and I like Nux, so I'm just sick of all the lies, okay? Everything involving this conflict and everything going on over there is revolving around lies. I think on the last stream I went over the red heifer thing. These guys are also radicals. They're intentionally trying to bring about the revelation event, like in the Bible. They're intentionally trying to do that, and they do it through the red heifer. All right, so we're gonna get into some more Iran news and get right down into all the stuff going on over there. Basically, in the past couple of days, there's been a few things that have happened. We're going to start with with this here. Iran foreign minister says Tehran... Oh, let me put some music back on here. Hold on one second. All right. Iran foreign minister says Tehran ready to consider diplomacy. Middle East crisis. Live. Okay, so... Iran is ready to consider diplomacy. Their foreign minister has said that Iran is... Okay, we can just keep repeating it over and over and over again. Under the condition that Israel's aggression is stopped. All right? Iran Foreign Minister Abbas... Speaking to reporters following several hours of talks with European foreign ministers in Geneva, said that they're ready for diplomacy. The aggressor, they want Israel held accountable for the crimes committed. Then a 5.1 magnitude earthquake struck near the Iranian city of Qom. I'm not sure where that is. Let's take a look. All right, there's Qom. Tehran's right there. So I actually think that the big underground nuclear facility that everyone's been chatting about is like right over here. So that's kind of crazy. All right, so let's take a look at this video.
Just when things were already getting tense between Iran and Israel, an earthquake hits in Iran. On June 20th, 2025, a 5.1 magnitude quake shook central Iran, right when the country was already in a full-blown crisis. Missiles in the sky, soldiers on high alert, and now, the ground starts shaking too. It almost feels like the chaos is coming from all the directions.
Yeah, imagine being in Iran, you've been getting bombed nonstop, and then all of a sudden there's a fucking earthquake. Like, holy shit, that's gotta suck dick. Meridian Code, 25 subscribers, much like us. We love them. We love these new creators. Watched your vid live on stream. Thanks for the info. Looks like a AI stream, an AI channel, but you know, whatever. We'll throw our comment. We liked it.
Near the capital Tehran, where a lot of people were already nervous. And let's be honest, if you're living through a war and suddenly everything starts shaking, you don't wait to check the news. The damage is not massive, but serious enough. A few buildings collapsed.
Wow, that looks pretty massive to me.
And several were injured. Roads cracked, power lines fell, and rescue teams rushed in while the military stayed on high alert. Some bases even thought it might be an attack at first. So here's
I would too.
Here's what went down. On June 20th, 2025, at around 9:46 p.m. local time, a 5.1 magnitude earthquake hit central Iran. The epicenter was close to Semnan, a really old and culturally
I think
rich
it's
city.
5.1 out of 9, right?
Not built for earthquakes. Early reports said 2 people lost their lives and around a dozen were injured. Most of the damage happened in small towns where houses are made of older materials like mud brick. Those don't do well when the ground moves. The weirdest part is, this wasn't far from some important military areas. For a few minutes, the army thought it might be a surprise attack.
Alright, so the earthquake seemed like it was a little bit of a bigger deal than it actually probably was. We're going to cut out the video here. I think that's plenty of information on that. Let's move forward to this next story we've got. Okay, Trump clashes with DNI Gabbard over Iran's bomb timeline. We talked about this a little bit. Let's take a look. Let's see if we've got any new information. When we were on before, we talked about how Trump said basically, like, I don't care what she said. She's wrong. This is a short... Okay. U.S. President Donald Trump said Friday that Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard was wrong in suggesting there was no evidence Iran is building a nuclear weapon. Trump contested intelligence assessments relayed earlier this year by a spy chief that Tehran was not building a nuclear weapon. What she said at the time, actually, was that they're producing way more uranium than they should be, and as of right now, they don't have intelligence that they're building a nuclear weapon, which is part of what led to me being like, okay, we're flipping a coin and we're anti-intervention. In March, Gabbard testified to Congress that the U.S. intelligence community continued to believe that Tehran was not building a nuclear weapon. On Friday, Gabbard said in a post on social media, America has intelligence that Iran is at the point where it can produce a nuclear weapon within weeks to months if they decide to finalize assembly. President Trump has been clear that that can't happen, and I agree. She said the media has taken her March testimony out of context and was trying to manufacture division. The White House said Trump would weigh involvement in the Iran conflict over the next 2 weeks. On Tuesday, Trump made similar comments to reporters about Gabbard's assessment. Netanyahu justified a week of airstrikes in Iran nuclear military targets by saying Tehran was on the verge of having a warhead. That may or may not be true. We just don't know yet. We don't know enough yet about that specifically. How much weapons-grade material does Tehran really have? Let's take a look. We have another Reuters article here. Okay. Vienna, June 18th. Israel has carried out attacks on nuclear facilities, alleging Tehran is getting close to obtaining a nuclear weapon. Below is a summary of what is known on the subject. How did Israel explain its attack? In a statement on Friday, when the attacks were launched, the Israel Defense Forces said they were revealing for the first time Iran's secret and accelerating plan for development of a nuclear weapon that could threaten Israel. Prime Minister Netanyahu had been making similar accusations for years, even once presenting a cartoon of a bomb at the UN in 2012. Israel has not, however, produced proof that Iran is as close as it now alleges. The UN nuclear watchdog, which carries out inspections in Iran, has said that while it cannot guarantee Iran's nuclear program is entirely peaceful, it has no credible indication of an active, coordinated weapons program either. This is a huge red flag. Just the fact that they said it cannot guarantee Iran's nuclear program is entirely peaceful. This is the whole problem, okay? Iran is not a reliable actor. They like to lie. And so you can't have them out there with the ability to generate a fucking nuke. You just can't have it. You got to get rid of it. So, you know, I don't want the U.S. to have anything to do with it, but if you're Israel, you gotta get it. You gotta get it. As its 2015 nuclear deal with major powers has eroded over the years, Iran expanded and accelerated its nuclear program. Remember, not 20 minutes ago when Hasan Diddy Osama bin Laden Piker with the small head and who's very old was saying that, oh, well, they kept up with that same plan. Well, the IAEA disagrees with that assessment and they hate Israel. So what's your justification for just full-blown lying about that? Okay, shortening the time that it would need to build a nuclear bomb if it's close enough, though it denies wanting to. In 2015, deal introduced strict limits on Iran's atomic activities in exchange for lifting of sanctions. It slashed Iran's stock of enriched uranium, leaving it only with a small amount of enriched to up to 3.67% purity, far from the roughly 90% that is weapons grade. The United States said that that a main aim was to increase the time. Jesus Christ. The U.S. said at the time that the main aim was to increase the time Iran would need to produce enough fissile material for a nuclear bomb, the biggest single hurdle in weapons-grade program to at least a year. In 2018, during his first term, Donald Trump said that the U.S. pulled the U.S. out of the deal, reimposing sanctions on Tehran and slashed its oil sales and battered its economy. In 2019, Iran started breaching the restrictions on its nuclear activities and then pushed far beyond them. It went on to breach all the deal's key restrictions, including on where, with what machines, and to what level it can enrich uranium, and how much material it can amass. It went on to its stock of enriched uranium, which has capped at 202.8 kilograms under the deal, is estimated at 9.2 tons in May, according to the latest quarterly International Atomic IAEA report. How far has Iran got? The exact status and various Iran nuclear facilities and materials since Israel strikes is unclear, at least until Israel strikes. Iran's enriching material is up to 60% purity and had enough material at that level for 9 nuclear weapons if enriched further, according to a theoretical yardstick. It means that Iran's so-called breakout time to the time it would need to produce enough weapons-grade uranium for a nuclear bomb was close to 0. Okay, so this is why all this is happening. It seems like the evidence that Iran was pretty close to a nuclear weapon is accurate. Now, I ran through this stuff a lot faster than I had planned on going through it, and a good part of the reason why is because a lot of these clips were kind of messed up. The last thing we're going to watch, and we're going to sit through this whole video here because I think it's extremely interesting. This came out 4 days ago. I think that this is an important story, and we need to also get into the bombers sighted moving. I'm missing some stuff on my doc here, but that's okay. We'll figure it out ourselves.
Netanyahu tells ABC News targeting the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, would end the fight between the two countries, not escalate it. Netanyahu's comments come as Iran's exiled crown prince says it's time for the Iranian military and security forces to abandon the Islamic Republic. Reza Pahlavi's grandfather was the last Shah of Iran before the 1979 Iranian Revolution. The exiled crown prince of Iran and advocate for secular democratic Iran, Reza Pahlavi, joins me now.
So this is really interesting. After the Shah was taken over by the Ayatollah, we have here the descendant of that Shah. This is, as I mentioned a few times, the crown prince of Iran. They're for bringing back Iran the way that it used to be. Let me show you some photos of that. They were much more westernized back then and probably better off all around. So this is kind of what we had going on back then. This is all before. Notice there's no hijabs, there's no hoods, and then, except for this one. All right, so this is after. All right, so they were living a pretty normal lifestyle. They were a developing nation. They had really great schools and all kinds of cool stuff and rights and all that, which is like, you know, pretty neat. We all like rights.
For more.
Now they don't.
Sir, thank you for coming on. You say now is the time for the Iranian people to come together and reclaim Iran by getting rid of the Ayatollah. Why do you think that? And could the Iranian people do this without an international effort?
Well, first of all, this is not a new fight for us. It's been going on for decades, and particularly in the latter years, we've seen how many times the Iranians have gathered together in protest and defiance of the regime, knowing full well that as long as this regime is in place, there's no hope for a better future for all of us as Iranians. Now the opportunity has been provided in the sense that when you're fighting an extremely brutal and repressive regime, when it's been now declawed and we are sensing almost a state of collapse by the regime, by people beginning to defect, by relatives of the regime taking flight, by the leader himself hiding in an underground tunnel, I think that this is an opportunity that we have never had this far in the past 4 decades, and this is the best opportunity for us to finally overcome this regime and get rid of it. So I think my fellow compatriots are energized in the fact that finally they can see light at the end of the tunnel.
All right, I'm going full ADD mode. Basically what he's saying is if you agree with him and not the current regime, then now's the time to stand up. There's been conflicting reports about whether or not people in Iran are actually overthrowing the regime and whether or not they're pro destroying everybody who's trying to destroy them right now. Honestly, if you ask me, I think that the overthrowing of the regime is propaganda because that's just what they do. The fact of the matter is that if anybody's bombing your country, you're not going to be in love with them, okay? It doesn't matter who they are. Now, here's a big story out of AP. U.S. strikes 3 Iranian sites joining Israeli air campaign against nuclear program. We're officially involved, boys. We are involved. We love it. No, we don't. We hate this. This is the worst possible outcome. It's going to cost us a lot of money, and we could get dragged into prolonged war. I'm hoping, the best case scenario at this point is that Iran is actually a paper tiger. We take out these nuclear sites and they can't do dick about it, and then we leave and nothing happens. That's the best case scenario now. We have crossed the Rubicon. Let's take a look at the... this is a live. Okay. This was 19 minutes ago. Tel Aviv. The U.S. military struck 3 strike... Let me turn the music on. Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry about this. I'm all over the place today. Here we go. The U.S. military struck 3 sites in Iran early Sunday, directly joining Israel's war, aimed at decapitating the country's nuclear program in a risky gambit to weaken a longtime foe amid Tehran's threat of reprisals that could spark a wider regional conflict. President Trump was the first to disclose the strikes. There was no immediate acknowledgement from the Iranian government. Iran's state-run IRNA news agency reported that the attacks targeted the country's Fordo, Isfahan, and Natanz nuclear sites, which is 3 out of 6 of the nuclear sites they have. The agency did not elaborate. The decision to directly involve the U.S. in the war comes after more than a week of strikes by Israel and Iran that aim to systematically eradicate the country's air defenses and offensive missile capabilities while damaging its nuclear enrichment facilities. But the U.S. and Israeli officials have said that American stealth bombers and the 30,000-pound bunker buster bomb they alone can carry offered the best chance of destroying the heavily fortified sites and connected to the Iranian nuclear program buried deep underground. If you watch the last stream, this won't come as much of a surprise to you. It's a bad move, I agree, McKibbs. Yeah, I mean, this is, look, what we should have done, because I understand they need bunker busters. Iran specifically put their nuclear facilities underground to where it would be, because they knew about bunker busters, they knew about Israel's ability to hit their underground bunkers. They specifically put them deep enough to where you require bunker busters to get to them. Okay? Okay, I get it. I get it. What you do is you sell the equipment to Israel if you want to do it that way. You say, okay, you want it? Okay, here's two B-12 bombers. Go ahead and do your thing, and then give them back, and it's going to cost you $300 billion or whatever the fuck it costs. That's what we should have done, but we just, you know, we love Israel too much. We need to cut all ties with all this shit and stop doing this. Okay, we just got out of a protracted war in the Middle East, and the regular foreign policy of the Bush administration leading up till now and the Obama administration has been to encircle Iran. Okay, this has always been part of the plan. So, best case scenario for these people is that we get sucked into this. Now, the optimistic look is that Trump has no interest in doing anything like that. That's why he tried to pull out in the first place, and all this other stuff. That would be the best case scenario. So, like I said, you know, you bomb it, you walk away, but that's never happened, so I doubt that's going to happen this time. So, we have completed our very successful... Is this Trump talking? Yeah. We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran. Now, Israel, they were doing very successful attacks, but I think America's attacks are the most successful. I think we have the greatest attacks, the greatest bombers. We have the bunker busters, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Trump said in a post on social media, all planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Trump added, Trump added in a later post that he would address the nation at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, writing, "This is a historic moment for the U.S., Israel, and the world. Iran must now agree to end this war." Okay, so we need to go back. This started 2 minutes ago. Oh, we're live for the shit, guys. We're on it. Let's take a look. What happens? Are they late?
Totally obliterated.
Oh, shit.
#1 state sponsor of terror. Heard those names for time ago, the U.S. military.
All right. Here we go.
Thank you very much. A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States.
Look, guys, if this actually ends here with this, then that's a good thing. I just don't see that being the case. We've had an open border for 4 years where people have been allowed to come in. Like, there is more than likely multiple Iranian terrorist cells in the U.S. waiting for this exact moment to do something extreme. I would be prepared in the coming weeks for a 9/11 type event, a false flag, or some actual terrorist attack that was precipitated by this. Just be careful out there. We're going to keep watching.
It's military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel. And God bless America. Thank you very much.
But fuck Iran, God. You fuck them to death. You send them all to purgatory where they belong, God. I mean, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy on our souls. God, I pray that this didn't result in civilian deaths over there. I don't know whether it did or didn't, but... Alright, so that's the statement. We got it. We got it all. Got it all basically live. We were a couple minutes late, but we got it basically live. That, yeah, I mean, there's just something deliciously ironic about being like, most importantly, thank you, God. Thank you, God. We appreciate it. Thanks for the help. God, Jesus, take the wheel of our B-12 bombers and drop the bunker busters on our foreign enemies who believe in the wrong God. We have the right God. They believe in the wrong God. You know, it's just, I just don't like to see this. The whole point is we don't want this stuff to happen anywhere. I want Iranians to live good, happy, free lives, and that's what matters, right? So Fordo is the main enrichment facility, I believe. Right now, as we speak, we have basically encircled Iran. We have warships all throughout these canals here, and this is the primary area right here, where we can expect there to be some conflict if we don't get out of this clean like we've been promised. B-12s can make it all the way to Iran and refuel elsewhere before coming back. from here. However, we do have the Nimitz in the area. It seems likely to me that we can expect an attack in this area here, in this canal. I forget the name of it. If the Nimitz gets attacked, which I believe is the intention of sending it there, that will end up pulling us into war. The Nimitz, as a reminder, is the same ship that was sent out to Iran during the hostage crisis that ended up having to come back in shame after the helicopter crash. I believe that this was sent out intentionally as a show of like force and a revenge tactic. None of this looks good. All of it looks bad. I don't like any of it, and that's pretty much it for the news today, guys. That's all we've got. I wanted to go over a bunch of stuff. I wanted to talk about Hasan and Nux. Everybody's lying about everything. Don't believe your lying eyes, you know. With a lot of this stuff, that's just what people are saying. You need to look into this shit. I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, but I also don't want us to have anything to do with this. We should have sold these weapons to Israel or another friendly nation that would have taken care of this for us. We need to go full isolationist for like a solid decade unless there's something that we have no choice but to do, you know, if we're under attack, maybe China, something like that. Like those are the issues that we need to be saving up for. We need to fix our economy so that when something legitimately threatening happens, we can take care of it. I do believe that Iran was on its way to making nuclear weapons, and I think it's possible that they already had some, and that's why this is happening. Iran's a type of country because they're so religiously dogmatic and radical. They would have no problem dropping a nuke on another country if it meant that it would, even if it meant the destruction of all of Iran or the world, because it's just they have their place in heaven and their 72 virgins and all that other stuff. So, you know, these things are issues and they do need to be stopped, and we need to have a bit of pragmatic realism when it comes to this issue. But at the same time, guys, like, these are human beings. They're not just radical Islamists. They're human beings, all right? Ask any of your friends or family who are service members. The fact that these people were part of a regime that did evil things doesn't take away from the PTSD they feel when they get right up in their face and have to kill them by stabbing them in the heart with their bayonet. Or shoot them in the face, right? The PTSD is still there, and it's still there because these are human beings, and they don't want to be involved in this action. And neither do we. We don't want that blood on our hands, and our economy is in shambles. Need I remind you? Okay, we have a big issue over here that we have to worry about, okay? We have our debt cock. All right, so, you know, this is just peaked over 37 trillion pretty recently. All right, we've got some issues. We can't be just doing this, getting ourselves into another bullshit, nonsense conflict that has nothing to do with us and has everything to do with other countries on the other side of the planet. I see no issue with selling these armaments to other countries that we agree with, and I'd rather have a proxy war with Russia and China and Iran than have a direct war. But if I could pick to not have a proxy war either, that would be ideal for me. We can't afford really anything. So yeah, this is a situation, guys. We pretty much covered everything we needed to cover, the major stuff. I was going to go for a lot longer today, but it doesn't seem like it's necessary. I feel like we covered everything. If you've got more to say, please comment and subscribe. I want you to catch the next stream and be there for when we cover more stuff. I'm hoping that all this conflict kind of dies down soon, because I really want to do a stream where we talk about this issue. I want to fix our economy. I'm going to start a series called Corbyn Fixes, X, right? So it's like whatever the thing is. So we're going to fix the economy. We're going to examine the tax code. We're going to examine jobs. We're going to examine everything as a part of our economy, the oligarchy, all that stuff. And we're going to break it down and figure out how to fix it. We're going to do other series like that where we go and do a deep dive. We do some research like we did last stream. We're going to break down all the things going on, and then we're going to decide the best way to approach taking care of this issue. And that's going to be a new series we kind of do and break all that stuff up. Because we really need to go over, we've got one big thing that's going to be happening in our country that's going to just totally destroy us, just like the 08 and 09 economic crisis with the housing crisis. We have a private equity crisis. Okay, so the same thing that happened to the homes is happening to businesses and small businesses. And small businesses make up about 70 to 80% of the economy. So we need to stop that before it's too late, and I don't think anybody fucking knows, or if they do know, they don't care who can actually do anything about it. So we are going to get into that. We're going to talk about that stuff. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. I'd say we were ending early, but lately our streams have been ending at around an hour and a half, an hour and 15. Really, our first stream, we went for the 3.5 hours. And since then, it's been like about an hour and a half on average, maybe 2. So, you know, if you're here and you're tuning in now, I'd like you to head over to the YouTube. That's youtube.com/Corbin Doster. Make sure you subscribe and like this video. If you're watching on YouTube, head over to X. It's Corbin Doster on X. Corbin's Briefs on TikTok and Instagram. And Corbin Doster on Kick as well. Make sure you shoot me a follow. We'd love to have you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in chat. I don't really know how to end this except stop killing people. That would be really cool if we could do that for like a couple years. If we could just stop killing people for a couple years, that would be pretty hype. That'd be pretty PogChamp. Thanks, guys. Thank you for coming by. Thanks for sticking it out with me. And take care.